Well, it's the day after the most important Fed meeting in over 2 years, and AMC is actually doing phenomenally well. We're looking at a technical breakout. Over the past 3 days, this has really been set up since we did hit $20.27 per share, bounced off of this $20 support level that I have had drawn out for over a week now. As well as that, you're still seeing this compressed coiling per se, for a lack of a better analogy, of the option activity as well as the short-term shorts that are in AMC that are going to be squeezed out of their positions. Anything can happen by the end of the day today, and AMC is incredibly volatile, now up about 0.5%, but I do think this mega bounce is likely to continue throughout next week as well. And that's really what I want to go over. It's not just the data that we're looking at right now, but we're also going to have a lot of pressure off our backs starting next week, as well as that the short interest is now at all-time highs. So we got to go over all of the intraday data that you guys need to know, talk about the secular move that we are seeing today, because you wouldn't think AMC break even on the day or up 0.5% is significant, but considering the NASDAQ is down 1.37%, and basically all stocks that have high metrics of valuation are not profitable, are not giving money back to shareholders in the forms of dividends, are getting beaten down today. As you can see, the Dow Jones is up almost 0.5%, and like I said, NASDAQ down about 1.39%. So considering that, AMC is doing substantially better than the broad markets. This Fed meeting is going to take a little bit of time to digest and see investors fully start to position, but this is definitely a great sign, and you guys will get a ton of value out of this video. If you have been holding your shares of AMC, if you have bought the dip, hit the like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know in the comment section what is your thoughts by the end of the week, if not the next couple of weeks. We've been looking forward to December 17th and really the next 2 months or so for extreme volatility. Now that it is here, don't be too emotional. Be stoic. You have to know what the trade is and have conviction in times of, obviously, when the stock is going down. All right, let's jump into this video with the key information. So let's briefly just go over what Fed Jerome Powell said yesterday. I'm sure you guys already seen this, so we're just going to do a brief synopsis of what was said. So the Fed, and the reason why the markets did bounce, you're seeing a bit of a retraction, like I said, today in the NASDAQ, some of your higher growth stocks, higher multiple stocks. But the reason that we are overall seeing a bullish response, and we killed it in the buy and sell alerts. If you guys want to join that, check that out in the pinned comment down below. But the reason we're doing decent after this Fed meeting, and a lot of people expected the markets to crash, is because we had a hawkish Fed Jerome Powell priced in. We expected 2 to 3 times faster tapering. So basically, they're going to be done tapering in March, and investors, they priced this in, and that's exactly what we got. That's why you didn't see the sell-off. I said very clearly here on this channel, the only thing that's going to significantly drop the markets is if Fed Jerome Powell comes out and says, yeah, we got to stop tapering by February, we got to raise interest rates by likely February or even January or immediately. They can do whatever they want. That's what would have dropped the markets and would have sent the markets into a violent downward spiral. We got what was expected. That's why the markets really didn't drop, and that's really why AMC is set up to go through this technical breakout as well as squeeze out some of these short-term shorts, and like I said, the option chain as well. But with that being said, we're in a weird moment of time for the next couple of months. We don't know exactly when we're going to get interest rate increases. We're expecting them in March, between March and June. I think the markets are pricing in March. If that doesn't happen, you're also going to see another big boost to the marketplace. But that is really what he said. He left it to basically the unemployment numbers. If that starts to get worse or not keep continuing to improve, then they're not going to raise interest rates as fast, and obviously Omicron and other things that could disrupt the economy. They want to take it slow, and investors are definitely liking that. And like I said, that gives AMC the room to go higher here in the next couple of months. But honestly, what is going to happen is we are seeing the NASDAQ coming down. The NASDAQ and the S&P, those are your higher growth stocks compared to the Dow. Like I said, you're going to see those come down, and those stocks, those 10 big market cap stocks, I've talked about this many times, Google, Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, all these big market cap players control over 20% of the move in the broad market. So if you see people sell out of those and go into the Dow, that could also work in AMC's favor as well, because those cash cow stocks, those higher growth hedge funds that are invested in those, that don't really go for these value stocks, these dividend stocks, are going to start losing a lot of money, thus be essentially closer to being forced to cover on their short positions via the margin calls that they would see. So it's very possible that your high growth stocks, the market in general, does go down with money going from high growth into more dividend, more secular stocks, and essentially start seeing these margin calls. We are seeing hedge funds actually closing their doors, which we will go over in another video later on today. That's going to be key as well. But now let's get into exactly what is going on with AMC. And let's first off start with the technical breakout, move into the Ortex data, and then the Stock O tracker data. So what I mean by this technical breakout, right, is we have been seeing the stock ever since about $34 per share. This is really the last time we were at $25, ran up to, $34. Now we have just been slowly going down for 1, 2, 3 consecutive days. Been just bleeding into the ground all the way down to $20.27 per share. You've seen a sharp reversal. We are over $4.20 off of these lows. And now that this fear catalyst is really out of the way, we are sitting right under our next resistance level, which is going to be $26.55 per share. You can also see here on the MACD that the MACD is slightly starting to curl. So if we do see even a strong bounce throughout the rest of today, if this MACD, if this yellow line goes above this blue line, that is a confirmed breakout. At least that is what we would expect to see. Now, the reason I'm calling out $26.55 per share is I've had this drawn for a while now, and this is why support and resistance is so important. Here in the pre-market, we hit $26.43 per share. That was literally 7 cents off our resistance level. That's why it's so key. The moving averages support resistance as well as volume. And it does look like we are on this bullish trajectory here. If you do just draw a trend line, it's very obvious to see that we are on this bullish trajectory. It wouldn't surprise me to see that gap up tomorrow, and that's really what I'm expecting to see. Hopefully we do bounce off of this and we don't close under 1%. If we do, all of this information is still relevant. We could, though, continue on this downward trajectory. You have got false breakout after false breakout, and that's really why I don't talk about technical breakouts all too often, because with AMC, it's hard to tell. Like I said, the only things that matter is support, resistance, moving averages, and the volume. And for the volume, at least so far, you're only seeing 23.7 million volume or shares that have traded hands. So it's relatively low considering what we have seen over the past couple of days. Back here, December 14th, we've seen volume of 107 million shares that traded hands. So ultimately, do not get fooled by any videos you see by anybody talking about AMC. You want to see low volume. You will never see the MOAS or a short squeeze or a big increase in share value going from high volume to low volume, or I should say high volume to higher volume. You will only ever see the price go up substantially if you go from low volume to high volume. And relatively speaking, over the course of this past year, we're still even at 107 million shares that traded hands December 14th, that's still very low considering where we have been at. But you really want to see volume days that are in between 20 and 30 million shares that do trade hands, like we seen before January and what we seen before June. Then you get that bullish volume and the price just goes crazy. Now let's move on. Let's talk about the Ortex data. And then we'll circle back to really what I expect by the end of the week and what my prediction is. And that's going to be obviously tomorrow, so there's not a lot of time left, and that's going to be important. We are also seeing a quad witching that is happening on Friday or tomorrow. And this only happens 4 times a year, and just expect a lot of volatility, specifically with AMC, and when we talk about the option chain, that's going to be key. But as far as the Ortex data, let's go ahead and give this a refresher. You can see the short interest of free flow is at all-time highs. Now, the estimate has been a little bit higher than this before, but the estimate 21.08%. We know the short interest for a fact is at all-time highs. You do not see the share price of AMC go down 50% in 2 weeks, not because of a lot of shorting activity. And Ortex does tend to be very conservative after they were just flat out wrong on their estimates multiple times, 2-3 months ago. They do tend to be very conservative. So I think this is a clear indication. The short interest is at all-time highs. The short interest is likely even approaching 25%. Short interest change for the day 0.37%, and the current estimated shares that are sold short of 108.19 million. Very large amounts, but we know this number is actually much higher. Now, share utilization is at 81.13. 7 days ago was at 77.82. I think with all of these shares that are being sold short onto the marketplace, you are definitely seeing less shares available to actually be traded, and that's obviously playing into the share utilization. Now, days to cover at 2.59 days to cover. That is extremely high, and that is still going up even as the volume has increased. And that is the biggest factor that really matters with AMC when it comes down to it. The days to cover is essentially a metric of how hard it is for shorts to cover on their short positions. If there's not a lot of people willing to sell their shares, when it comes down to hedge funds actually having to buy shares to get out of these short positions, there's not enough shares that people are willing to sell, so you drive that price up through the roof. This is the whole theory we have been talking about for the last year with AMC stock. Now we are finally seeing these numbers reflecting what they should have been reflecting this whole time. So that is incredibly bullish, something to be very, very excited about. Now, finally, Stonko tracker data. And what I said in the beginning of this video, essentially, even after this Friday, you're going to see a lot of pressure off our backs because of the amount of calls and puts that are in the money and out of the money expiring next week. We're also still looking at this coiling of just all this bearish activity. If we get the slightest bounce in AMC, you're going to see rapid de-hedging, especially tomorrow. It would not surprise me to see a 10% plus positive day, because as the puts run from into the money out of the money, that's buying power that has to happen on the overall markets, or on the open markets I should say, by the market makers. And the same thing for the calls that will happen simultaneously if AMC does go up. Calls will go from out of the money into the money, puts will go from into the money out of the money. Two fronts of buying power with a ton of option activity. So out of the money calls, 441,000 expiring tomorrow, 25,000 calls that are in the money. So that's where this coiling effect is. You're not seeing hardly any bullish activity whatsoever. It's pretty much all bearish activity as far as the option chain. And you are looking at in the money puts at 124,000, out of the money puts 195,000. I don't expect a lot of puts, if anything, to go into the money. So I don't really expect a lot of negative more, because we've already been seeing this. I don't really expect a lot more selling power to go into AMC by tomorrow, just because we've already took the full brunt of this. We're gonna have to see the stock drop a lot to see a significant amount of puts run into the money to really see that selling power hit the marketplace and to drop the stock a lot. But like I was saying, after this week, you're not seeing a lot of activity on the option chain either direction. You are seeing actually much more calls that do expire December 23rd. The day before Christmas Eve. Hopefully that'll give us some good luck, this Santa Claus rally. But you are looking at 78,000 calls that are out of the money, 4,000 calls that are in the money. But for the put side, you're only seeing 15,000 puts that are in the money, 35,000 puts that are out of the money. So it's really going to give us a breather. You're not going to see crazy volatility back and forth, not a whole lot of potential buying power or shorting power on the options chain, right? So you're going to be able to see that market sentiment. If buyers come back into the stock and even are playing the bounce with AMC, you're going to see that reflected in the share price much more. So that's going to be basically it for this video. That is the intraday update that you guys need to know. Hit the like button for me. Like I said, if you're buying AMC, if you're holding AMC, if you're excited, just hit the like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel. If you guys want access to all of my trades in real time, as well as go ahead and follow me over on Twitter. Link for that pinned down below in the pinned comment. Also the link for public. If you guys want to get up to $1,000 in free stock, it only takes about 2 or 3 minutes. Send your orders of AMC or any other stock to the Lit Exchange. Help out the movement that way, support the channel, get a free stock. It's a win-win for all parties involved. I love that brokerage. Been using them as my main brokerage, at least for buying shares lately. So check that out if you guys do want to. No pressure. Love and appreciate it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.